guys, welcome back to Red Dead Redemption 2. In this video we will be reading through Arthur's journal, chapter Shady Belle. Okay, let's get started on this chapter. So we're starting with a sketch of the mansion at Shady Belle. The fourth camp, I suppose. First is Coulter, and then Horseshoe Overlook, then Clemens Point, and now Shady Belle. The first entry. We've moved again. More trouble with the Pinkertons. More trouble with them locals. More trouble all around. Little Jack's been kidnapped, so we're trying to find him. Apparently some fella in Saint Denis, Senor something or other, took umbrage to our presence and kidnapped him, or heaven forbid, worse. We burnt down Braithwaite Manor when we went hunting for him in an almighty scrap. Then we got spoken to again by Agent Milton. This time he asked us for Dutch's head on a platter. We got him to leave, but they ain't too pleased with us. So we headed into Saint Denis to find little Jack. We was told he'd been kidnapped by some local gangster, this Italian feller called Bronte, a local tough guy. We ain't found him, but he's found us. Dutch and I headed into town, and I managed to get myself robbed by a bunch of children. This was a new low, even by my standards. Anyway, we found Mr. Bronte, and are going to pay him a call. We better get the boy back soon, not least because if we don't, Abigail will kill the lot of us. All this after we burned down the Braithwaite Manor house looking for him, and made some real enemies of ourselves back in that country. We're now hiding deep in the swamps, trying not to get eaten by wildlife or sunk too deep in the mud. I cannot decide which I like less, the swamps or the city. Both are full of parasites, reptiles and slime, but the swamp's prettier. Dutch is trying to think of where we can run next, but in the meantime we are deep in the swamps, hiding in some disease-ridden old plantation house, mostly swallowed up by nature. Guess we will find Jack, get some money, then flee, but where? These bastards ain't giving up. We're a long way east of land we know and far from real open country. That's Charles Châtenay. Met a curious Frenchman in a bar. Bought him a drink and he gave me a picture. Said he was an artist, although I'm not sure I see what is so good about it. The monk in Saint Denis. I met a monk. Helped him free a couple of poor bastards from the island someplace who were kept prisoner. The monk, what was his name, brother something or other, was a good fellow. One of these innocent people who make you feel better about human beings and even about yourself a little. Must be odd to see all that goodness in the world. Place always seemed dark and brutal to me. I'm not sure who this is. Met a weird fella, wants 100 gallons of moonshine. For love. Never heard such nonsense in all my life, and I know some talkers of nonsense. Guess I'll go ask that clerk, Aiden, Trelawney's disappointed friend, if maybe he knows a way of finding it, as I think there's money in this. I think that's the inventor who made the electric chair. Santini, the sketch of a bridge and some factory buildings. A sketch of some people. I don't know who they're supposed to be, or just random people. I always heard Santini was one of the 7 wonders of the world. If this is so, I don't care much to see the other 6. It's a depressing place that shows you the only thing worse than people is a whole lot of people. That's a good way to put it. I have not ever met a lizard in a suit before. Only now I have, and his name is Angelo Bronte. He is either our salvation or our damnation. The city's strongman arrived from Italy a few years ago, and now knows and controls everything and everyone. He had not harmed Jack, other than feeding him strange food, and Dutch seems to think that maybe we can get something from this oily dictator. Personally, I don't trust him more than I trust any hungry animal not to try and eat me, but for now we are somewhat safe and hidden. Whole place gives me the creeps. Mary wrote to me, wants to see me again. Oh Mary, what fools we are, what a fool I am. It sounds like it's nighttime, but it's still light enough to read and to see all the sketches. So, as long as it's bright enough, I don't think I'll sleep. Met a pair of fellas from a chain gang. Black fella named White, white fella named Black. They wanted to kill each other. They begged me to clear off some wanted posters for them. Collected the posters. Old White and Black weren't so innocent as they seem. A beaver, I guess. A man on a coach. Took the shine to the fella in Santini, a professor no less, Andrew something or other. He's built an electric chair as a kind of way of killing folk as needs killing. Oh, the irony of it all. Even more ironic. Me so tough and him so weak, and I never got paid. Strange lighting. Okay, it's getting a bit too dark after all, so I'll quickly sleep through the night. It's morning again. Quite a nice sunset, or sunrise, I mean. Yeah, this is where we left off. Saw Mary and the awful daddy, who has taken to drink, which unsurprisingly ain't improved him a whole lot. What a foul pig he is. Taken to hawking off family heirlooms and cursing the world for it. Still a stuck-up son of a bitch. Now Mr. Linton has passed away. I wonder what he wants for his daughter. Funny thing is, I love her, and yet I am a bad lot. Old Daddy is a good, upright man, and yet he treats his daughter like a possession to be mistreated and abused as he sees fit. Strange creatures, men. I don't know. All I know is that I love her, and she both loves and detests me. It never worked before, and it won't ever work now, yet it gnaws at me. The idea of it gnaws at me like a sickness. I've got to give all that nonsense up. I'm an outlaw, a murderer, a man with a code different to ordinary folk, and Mary ain't never going to be for my world. We went to a vaudeville show in town. Dancing from France, quite a business. What is wrong with me? Do I really think I can retire someplace nice and live a normal life with a wife? Am I a big enough dolt to believe that is possible? But I had to skip this sketch of a strange-looking tree. It might be one of the trees in the heartlands where you find one of the more obvious dream catchers. Helped Mr. Mason to take another picture, this time of wild horses, and he gave me a beautiful print of one of the wolves that nearly ate him. The nice sketch at the bottom. Met a real pair of, well, I don't know quite what they were. Names were so ridiculous I won't even begin to try to remember them, but they were Greek or Latin or gibberish. Pair of twins, dead keen on insulting each other and hitting each other to impress a woman. I done lots of stupid things to impress women, but this was ridiculous. I ended up being William Tell. I think they was college boys. Guess education ain't always the answer to mankind's problems. Nice enough boys, but odd as hell. Yeah, the side mission where you had to shoot bottles off of their heads. A couple of pigs, Alaskan ginseng, and a goat. Took medicine to that creepy pair, as they'd poisoned themselves something proper. They survived, but I doubt they'll make it for much longer, like a pair of circus clowns. Met a crazy man in Santony, a professor no less, Marko Dragic. I'm still amazed by what I experienced. He had me control a tiny boat remotely. How, I have no idea. I did not understand any of it, but even though he was annoying and a sharp mouth, he seemed obviously highly intelligent. Was I duped? I have no idea. Wouldn't be the first time I've fallen for the rantings of an intelligent man telling me how to think. Only he didn't tell me how to think. Whole thing was odd. Told me to come see him at his lab at Dover Hill. Maybe. I went to an art gallery. Seems fine and fancy. Living ain't quite so different from life in the wilderness. Robbing stagecoaches. Was an exhibition of paintings by the artist I met a couple of times. Charles something or other. French fella. Seems he'd been doing more than painting in his models. Their husbands weren't so keen on the liberties he'd been taking with his subject matter. Whole thing descended into a brawl. Had to help him escape. A very tiny picture of a dog. Looks like some kind of terrier, but I don't think there are any terriers in the game, so I don't know what breed it could be. If I want to get paid for this nonsense, I got to find a bounty. Name of Wilson J. McDaniels, so he can be humanely disposed of at enormous cost to everybody, as opposed to a shot in the head like I would do. Still ain't been paid for this. It's the photographer again in the swamp on a boat. This time Albert Mason seemed obsessed by getting eaten by alligators. Again, he managed to survive much more by luck than by judgment. And on the left is a sketch of Queen's orchid and some kind of songbird. Charles dressed as a woman. Found Charles the artist dressed as a streetwalker, trying to flee from assorted men he'd offended, fleeing to the South Seas. Wonder if we'll see him there. And a very nice landscape sketch with Albert Mason. Saw Albert again. Bored of fighting animals, he tried to fight gravity. Again, he somehow survived. I hope he will now retire from a life even more idiotic and dangerous than mine. The fighting gravity thing makes me think of a mission in the first Red Dead Redemption, where I forget what you were supposed to do exactly, but it was a guy making wings and trying to fly off a plateau somewhere in Nuevo Paraíso. Another songbird. Saw them weird boys again with the equally weird names. This time they asked me to give them a beating. I cannot even try to understand them. And a horse rearing up. Oh, very nice sketch of a bison. Some kind of duck. And I guess another kind of duck. Apparently that weird sketch he gave me is worth a lot of money, and Charles is a world-famous artist. Must be after you got the letter back from him, which we read in the letter reading video. Yeah. I don't know what the machine is on the left, but there's a guy sitting in the electric chair. Took McDaniels in and watched him fry. Weren't very nice, weren't very humane. The professor got upset and got involved before possibly killing himself with electricity. And I never got paid. If they catch me, I pray they hang me. That chair is the work of the devil. The mayor of Saint Denis mansion. Fancy people. Yes, I know you want to go outside, Dimaka, but it's raining. Just stay here and purr into the microphone a bit. Sorry about this. My lord, now I have done everything. I went to a ball like a fool in a fairy tale. The mayor of Saint Denis. Dutch got us invited by old Senor Bronte, and off we trooped, dressed up like turkeys for Thanksgiving, and waxed and polished and primped to within an inch of our lives. Bronte did not mingle with the other guests, but lorded over the place like a Roman emperor, deciding who to have killed for his fun. Place was full of drunks, lunatics, liars, and clowns. But the thing was kind of fun. Managed to not get into too much trouble, and may have some business opportunities on account of enquiries there. We shall see, I guess. Seeing Bill dressed up like an ambassador and awkward as a schoolgirl was one of the funniest moments of my life. Met Evelyn Miller, the writer, which was amazing for Dutch. Met the mayor. Dutch and Hosea seem to think this dump is a world of possibilities. They want to look into the bank and some other business opportunities. We shall see. As long as we can keep ahead of the Pinkertons and Mr. Cornwall and the rest of them for a while, maybe we shall be okay. Sketch of a band on a bandstand. And an owl. The two brothers, or I forget if they're brothers, but the two boys on top of a waterfall. Saw the two strange boys and the girl they claimed to love once again. This time it was real strange. I mean, it was strange before, but this time it was, well, real strange. They got me to push them off a waterfall in a barrel. both somehow survived, just about. But then they turned on the girl and went off together like two happy peas in a pod. Not sure what to think of the whole business. Wintergreen berry, a bat, a songbird, and some kind of hawk. And a crow and a woodpecker. And another bird, I don't know what it could be. And some kind of eagle or a hawk. And a rat, I suppose. And a snake. Must be Sadie. Kieran, that poor kid we spared from O'Driscoll's gang up in the mountains, is dead. Killed by the bastards. He saved my life, and I could not save his. They chopped his head off and tried to kill the lot of us. Mrs. Adler fought braver than any of us. She is driven by powerful forces I scarcely understand. That's what love has done for her, I guess. I feel like an animal living out in the mud here. Whole place gives me the creeps. K.R.I.P. A bird, I don't know. Maybe a loon. Francis Sinclair. Nice portrait. Met a man, Francis Sinclair, wants me to find some odd rock carvings and send him details. Not sure why. I probably won't bother. Francis had bright red hair and a birthmark and spoke in an odd way. Moccasin orchids and a Kuna star orchid. Right, yeah, there was some weird Frankenstein kind of creature. And I thought I knew folks with strange hobbies. Yeah, I don't think there's any kind of story thing tied to this. It's just a random house that you can get into with some climbing. Like you have to climb a porch and then there's an open window on the second floor you can get into. And inside is some kind of lab with a few notes. And this, I forget what it was, but like man legs and wings of some kind, and I thought he had a boar head, but maybe not. Just very disturbing. Met this fella, Algernon Wasp. Not sure how to describe him, but I won't forget him anyway. I could not do him justice. A different kind of fella. But he says he'll pay good money for assorted feathers and eggs and whatnot for his creations for various rich women. Gave me a list of things he wants. Right, that's the guy from the Orchid Collection missions. Yeah, one of those strange trees that point to a cave, I think, somewhere in Roanoke Ridge. And one more, and one more, and one more. The Viking construction. I'm not sure what it was supposed to be, but where you can find the Viking helmet and I think some kind of war axe. I think I may have met a witch or a woman who wanted to be one. Yeah, that's somewhere out west. Like a shack with an old woman. Kinda creepy. I'm very sensitive to creepy old women. I blame the cartoon Snow White because of the hag in that movie just creeped me out for years and still kinda does. Anyway, tangent. Discovered the world's angriest man, relieved to realize it ain't me. Don't remember. Nice sketch of a moose. Crayfish. Saw Mr. White and Mr. Black living happy as a pair of argumentative, murderous bastards ever could. They was holed up in a tree, squabbling like angry bastards. Yeah, that's also somewhere out west, I think, close to the witch's hut. Looks like the night is falling again. Somehow got myself involved in the charming business of Saint Denis culture. The mayor, who knew we robbed him a while back, invited me over to his mansion again. Strange man, nice and awful, cynical and caring. Wants to make his city thrive. Doesn't seem to care how he goes about it. Threatened me in order to make me threaten some art professor on his behalf. Why? So the art professor will verify that a bunch of paintings ain't the forgeries he believes. They are the genuine article he thinks they aren't, in order to fill the people with joy that they are looking at a real work of genius. Not a good copy of a work of genius. Yes, I was pretty confused by the whole thing, but I did as I was bid to do, and the professor changed his mind once he saw that I would be happy to turn his mind into nothingness. Must be the Odd Family. Show was interesting to say the least, and also dreadful, but I got paid. Yeah, that's Mrs. Marjorie's Family. But I forget what the show was about. Bird of Song. Again, Bird of Song. A songbird. And some kind of aquatic bird, I think. A map of something. I don't know what. Another body that seems linked somehow to the previous one. More paper in the mouth. Maybe directions to some place. I don't know. From the murder missions. A horse. trading post in Roanoke Ridge was kind of interesting. I forget if there was anything interesting there. But anyway. Robot. Went to see the professor at his lab. He had built a sort of mechanical sun. He seemed to think it was amazing, but we could not get the thing to work properly. I was not half as impressed with him as he was with himself. A very small church for a very small congregation. Yeah, that's somewhere on the eastern edge of the swamp. And there was something in it, but I forget what. Cigar orchid and maybe a spoonbill. Found yet another body. Some maniac is killing these people for sport. Guess I'm going to pay him or her a visit. Lady of the Night orchid, spider orchid, and probably a heron. I don't know how many birds there are that look like herons, or maybe it's an egret, I don't know. Nice portrait sketch. Again doing Mayor Lemieux's dirty work. I think that's how it's spelled. His first name is Henri. Henri. Only he spells it Henry. Guess my French is nearly as bad as my English. Now I was threatened into threatening a newspaper man into donating to the noble cause of truth and learning. I had to make this guy support a library. He didn't want to, then he did. Found the murderer, a man named Edmund Lowry. Took him into the sheriff in Valentine after he nearly killed me. He jumped the sheriff. I killed him. Nasty bastard he was. I think some kind of doe, or maybe a sheep, hard to tell, and a pigeon, I suppose. Okay, I'm gonna have to go sleep through the night again. Alright, it's morning yet again. This chapter of the journal is even longer than the previous one, because I guess I just got a whole lot of side quests or side missions done, which also have their own entries. So this video will be a bit longer than the other ones. Yeah, this is where we left off. So next is this entry. Old blackmailing Lemieux has himself been threatened by his own assistant, a chap I never liked too much, name of John Mark, I think. Jean-Marc. So I go hunting for John Mark. Only John Mark is a noble believer in truth and honesty, and cannot stand his boss's lies. I'm charged with killing him. I cannot do it. John Mark is irritating, but the mayor is worse. The mayor is all that is bad in those who would rule over us, and it ain't my business at all. So I let him live and let them deal with it themselves. I guess I'm through with politics. Yeah, I know where this is, but I don't remember what it is. It's somewhere way out west. Sent him the location of these odd carvings. Now he wants me to go see him. It ain't John Mark, it's Jean-Marc, you fool. And he's now the mayor. I guess that's good. Lemieux's done for. Okay. A green iguana. And some kind of vulture, maybe. Something real odd happened to me. Went to see Francis Sinclair, only he weren't there. But a lady was nursing a baby called Francis, with the same mark on his face, and yet she'd never heard of an adult with that name, and was acting real odd. She must have been treating me for a fool, which perhaps I was for getting involved in this nonsense. Someone had made the carvings into an odd symbol. I don't know what to make of this at all. Very mysterious. Yeah, there's a cave somewhere, I forget where, with a bunch of statues in a circle. There was a puzzle where you had to do something to the statues in a certain order. And then you could find some gold, I think maybe a letter, I forget. Wonder who lived here. Yeah, house, like a hill house. Right, that's the statues again. Went to Scarlet Meadows, site of the famous battle in the war. All them young lives lost. Nice big sketch of a bear. A grizzly, I'd say. A pigeon, maybe. Stumbled across a corpse in the swamp. A poor guy had a withered arm. Interesting. Looks like a kingfisher, but I don't think there are. I mean, I know there aren't kingfishers in the game. So, it seems too small to be a woodpecker, but maybe it is. Met a woman had killed a John. Claimed it was an accident. I helped her get rid of the body. Wonder if she was quite as innocent as she claimed. I don't remember this at all. A pelican. Yeah, that's the map of the dream catchers, which makes a bison. Spoilers if you haven't done this. The X that marks the eye of the bison is where the end of the quest is. This looks like a stork, but I don't remember there being storks in the game. So, I'm not sure what it is. Nice sketch of a wild boar. Probably the legendary one. Ah, nicer two-page sketches must be legendary animals. Sparrow's egg orchid. Small songbird at the bottom. I think this place was an Indian burial ground. I have no idea where this was. I think again somewhere out west in the mountains. Went back to see Calloway and Levin. Calloway's still a drunken clown. Had me kidnap some old adversary, Slim Grant. They ended up shooting each other, and then Calloway turned on me. Less said the better, but Levin has himself a book, and I will slide back into obscurity. Gunslinging ain't the life for me. I prefer good, honest killing, with none of the pretensions. Dead Calloway. Met that writer Evelyn Miller in the street. He remembered me from the party. Apparently my petty crime did not go entirely unnoticed. Better keep my head down a little better. He introduced me to a couple of Indians, father and son. Son angry, father with an air of what exactly? Of something both impressive and frightening and kind about him. A great man, defeated by powerful and awful forces. I do not know, but his eyes, his very manner spoke to me. Somehow I've agreed to help them. Seems they, like us, have problems with that gilded ape, Leviticus Cornwall, and his foul empire. We shall see how this pans out. Seems those of us who thought Angelo Bronte was a lizard in a suit was right, and them as thought he was a gentleman thief eager. What a sentence again. Seems those of us who thought Angelo Bronte was a lizard in a suit was right, and them as thought he was a gentleman thief eager to help us on our merry way was wrong. Bastard sent us into a trap in town, told us to rob a trolley station. No money, but the entire police force waiting for us. Dutch nearly died. Lenny fought real hard. The kid is good in a fight and saved us. Dutch is planning some big escape for us all. Some grand master plan. Everything we are attempting here seems troubled. I hope we can get out of here alive. Right now it don't seem likely. Dutch is raging about Bronte's deception or betrayal or whatever quite it was. Dutch don't like being made a fool of. Even Micah, with all his teasing and needling, plays it real cool with Dutch. I would not want to be Bronte right now. I cannot see Dutch letting this pass. That's the lab. Went back and someone or something had killed the professor. His mechanical creature had been stolen. A record player, or not a record, but a gramophone. Ghost orchids, clamshell orchids. Algernon is quite a character. Here's a sketch of him. Okay. night-scented orchid. Looks like a panther. I cannot believe I am writing this, but there's something mighty strange in that swamp. Right. I don't know what triggers this or if it's completely random, but there's like a ghostly lady that appears sometimes in the swamp at night. And it must be the legendary bighorn ram. And the legendary deer in Roanoke Ridge. I don't know what that could be. A dog, I suppose. And a chicken. Went to teach Angelo Bronte a lesson. Taught him something, I guess. Taught him alligators have a nasty way about them. Dutch is torn between his dreams of escape and his need to prove something or other. I don't quite know what. Not sure he does. Wants us to make one last big haul of cash, then flee for Tahiti. Retire and become farmers. Where the hell is Tahiti? I guess they don't have Pinkertons there, at least. All them years we dreamed of being ranchers out in virgin lands in the west. Now it's bananas and coconuts and long boat rides. Guess anywhere the train can get to, the law can get to. Dutch probably has it right. This country really don't want folk like us no more. From ocean to ocean, places going to law-abiding and decent and dulled and rigid, until folks have frozen themselves into nothingness. The people in this city are worse and more desperate than the nastiest gunslinger I ever met. They'd shoot you in the back and make you pay for your own funeral. They throw shit on you for sport. They walk past the lost and starving like they can't see them. Keep feeling sick, but I'm sure it's nothing. This damn swamp ain't natural. Adio Bronte. I read a bit further already, but I think I will end the video here, because that way it's a bit better separated between stuff before Guarma, which is chapter 5, and everything that happened after we got back from Guarma. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. Have a good night, and I will see you next time.